I want to dive into something today that's been on my heart. And honestly, it's something we've all experienced at some point. Have you ever noticed just when life seems to be going right, things are finally flowing? You're at peace, you're healed, you're growing, and then something from your past just suddenly pops up. Yeah, that. Maybe it's not even something major. Maybe it's a memory, a person, a familiar emotion, or even a feeling that pulls you back to a place you thought you'd already healed from. You're noticing an old version of yourself trying to interrupt your now, and you're like, wait a minute. I thought I was over that. Why am I being reminded of this again? But what if that moment isn't about regression? What if it's about redirection? Because sometimes the past doesn't come back to pull us down, it comes back to reveal what may still need our attention. So today we're talking about what it means when the past calls your name and how facing it might actually be a part of your freedom. Can I be honest? I've had moments like that too, seasons where I felt like I was finally walking in peace, fully aligned, doors opening left and right, and then boom, suddenly something would trigger an old memory. It could be something so small, a familiar tone in someone's voice, a situation that reminded me of what I used to tolerate, or even just a quiet moment where I felt just a little emotional. And then I realized the past wasn't showing up to destroy my peace. It was inviting me to go deeper, to acknowledge the parts of me that were still healing. And instead of asking, what's wrong with me? I had to learn to ask, what is this trying to show me? When the past resurfaces, it's not always an attack. Sometimes it's an invitation, an opportunity to heal a layer you didn't even know still needed attention. You see, we all have layers, and growth doesn't mean you've outgrown everything. It just means you're ready to face it differently. Maybe you're currently in a healthy relationship now, full of potential, but something small your partner says or does, it just triggers you out of nowhere. For example, maybe you text your partner and they don't text you right back, and then suddenly your mind is going, spiraling into, what did I do? But it's not about them. Could it be your past reminding you of a time when communication meant abandonment, when silence meant rejection? That's that old wound saying, hey, remember me? You never dealt with this part. Or maybe you stepped into a new opportunity, a new job, a new business, a new season. And then all of a sudden, that old voice creeps in. Are you sure you're qualified? Who you think you are? And without realizing it, you start playing small again, not because you're not capable, but because the past version of you was trained to survive, not thrive. And that's just not your truth. That's that old narrative testing if you still believe it. See, we all have unhealed versions of ourselves living quietly on the inside. And when you level up, those old versions will rise up too, not to sabotage you, but to ask, are you ready to release me now? And here's what I want you to remember: every new level of your life, it's going to test you. It's going to test your healing of the last one. The past doesn't just show up to bring shame, it shows up to bring awareness. And here's something I share with my clients: you cannot outrun what you refuse to face. Whatever you don't deal with will always find a way to deal with you in your relationships, your habits, your fears, or your decisions. And sometimes that unhealed version of you, it shows up in how you love, how you lead, or maybe just how you respond. Maybe you're an overthinker, you overcompensate, or you just isolate when things are off. And it's not because something is wrong with you, but it's because something within you is still trying to feel safe. Because healing is not about erasing your past, pretending like it never happened. It's about learning to respond differently now that you know better, and it takes away its power to control you. It's saying, yes, it happened, but it no longer defines how I show up today. Because when you address it, meaning truly sit with those moments, grieving them, forgiving self, and then learn from them, you create room for the present to actually feel safe, room for your future to unfold without resistance. And I want to encourage you and remind you, you're in a good season. And suddenly you find yourself being reminded of the past. Please don't panic. Don't assume you're going backwards. Sometimes God allows these reminders so you can close doors fully, not partially. You're not being pulled back, you're being prepared for what's next. So let's pause and reflect and let's ask ourselves this: what patterns keep showing up in my life, even in my good seasons? What emotion or reaction feels familiar, like I've been here before? Am I reacting from my healed self or my hurting self? And that's how you grow forward, by not ignoring your past, but by redeeming it. Because what I've learned, you can be in a great place externally and still have healing left to do internally. That doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're becoming. And I believe God allows these moments for us to rise up, not to discourage us, but to free you. He brings these things to the surface so they can be surrendered. He can't bless the version of you that hides behind the mask, but He will always bless the version of you that's honest. And the more you allow yourself to face those parts of your story with honesty, with grace and compassion, the more you begin to see how every piece, yes, even the painful ones, were part of your becoming. So when the past calls your name, don't run from it. Sit with it. Ask, Lord, what are you showing me here? Where do I still need your healing touch? Because every time you face what was, you create space for what is and for what's coming next. So allow me to leave you with this. Healing isn't a one time event, it's a lifestyle of awareness. Every level of growth is going to invite you to a deeper layer of healing. So the next time your past calls, don't hang up. Listen long enough to understand the why it's calling. Answer it from your healed self, because the version of you now deserves the peace that only truth can bring. So face it with courage and remember, your freedom is on the other side of that choice. Until next time, blessings.